We grew up believing school would teach us how to think. But what if it did the exact opposite? In this video, we discuss about how school killed our creativity and make us to a obedient slave. And thank you to all. My last video just got 15 views who patiently listened my rambling. Thank you. Thank you very much to all. Let's start today's video. This video is based on Professor Jiang class. In the description, I will link the full lecture. Professor Jiang reveals something most people never question, that the scientific structure of thought itself might be the reason our creativity dies too soon. This might just be an missing piece of the theory of everything. So first we listen Professor lecture and then I gave my opinion.
To clarify. Now, in science class, you're taught the scientific method. Okay, what's the scientific method? Well, you do research. You create a hypothesis from the research, and then you create an experiment to test out the hypothesis. And then you have data, and then you make observations, and then you refine the hypothesis, okay? And this is what we believe a way to model the act of thinking. And you're taught this in every class, even in English class, right? You do research, then you create an outline, right? The outline has a thesis with 3 evidence, right? And then you write it out, write a draft, you edit it, and you repeat the process. Okay, this is what you're taught in school. Okay, I'm gonna say something that will shock you, okay? This is what you're taught in school. This is what you believe works. But as someone who is much older than you are, as someone who actually thinks for a living, who teaches for a living, who writes for a living, I'm gonna tell you, how you actually think is the complete opposite. Okay? So what happens is you actually think or imagine the story or the idea to begin with, okay? And then you start working backwards to create the process. You're taught in school, it's a process that creates the idea. What I'm telling you is that in reality, it's the idea that creates the process. Okay? So, let me give you an example of this. If you look at every major scientific discovery, it all came to the person in a dream or when he was, or it sort of popped into that person's head. Okay? It's just think of a light bulb popping up, okay? So an example is Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein created his theory relatively not in a laboratory, not by doing research with other scientists, but simply by sitting in a patent office every day and just daydreaming. And then, boom, the idea came to his head. He's like, okay, now I have this idea. Now what he's going to do is go back and look for the evidence to support his idea. Yes?
Hypothesis is like an idea.
Okay. Is a hypothesis the idea? Okay. No, the hypothesis is the assumption. Okay? What I'm trying to tell you is this. What I'm trying to tell you is the idea or the final product comes first. Then you go backwards. Okay? And you create the draft. Then you create the outline. Then you do the research. Okay? Now, I know this sounds weird, but let me give more examples. James Watson came up with the double helix model of DNA. How he did this was he spent years and years working to figure out how DNA worked. And then boom, one day he had a dream of a staircase, a double staircase. And he's like, maybe that's the model I need to use. And then you start to do more research and you discover, hey, this works. Okay? But the question then is, how did that get into his head? Okay, let me give you another example. I write books, and I've written 3 novels. And you won't believe this, okay? But my wife is here, and like she knows how I work. You would think that when you write a book, you would spend every day at the desk and read books, take notes, and then transform it into a book, right? I don't do that. What I do is I lie in bed and I might play some video games or I might read a book, okay? I get up, I walk to the park, and I come back and I have all these ideas. And I write down all these ideas over 1 hour, 2 hours on the computer, okay? And then I'm exhausted. I've run out of ideas. And I'm like, okay, tomorrow, what am I gonna do if I have no ideas? I can't write anymore. But what happens is the next day I get up and I have new ideas. And I write it back and I write it down again, okay? So it's not like I am generating these ideas, it's more like I'm receiving these ideas. If you actually watch me work, it is almost impossible to think that I actually do any work because I'm always like lying around or walking around or daydreaming, okay? My wife tells me that when I write or when I work, it's like I'm possessed. I'm possessed by something, okay? Meaning like I don't see anything and I really don't know what other people are doing because I don't care. I don't care because I'm focused on my work, okay? Also, I'll give you another example, the way I teach. Now, when you see me teach, you think, oh, you must have a script. You must have outlined the class. I don't do that. I have a conception, I have a framework in my head. I come to class and I teach. How do I teach? I watch your observations, I watch your facial expressions, and based on your responses, I then start to flesh out the framework. And how do I do that? Because I'm always accessing a higher force and I'm receiving this information that I can then articulate to you in class. And that's why if you have been with me for a long, long time, 10 years, you will know I've never taught the same class ever. You can go on YouTube and watch all my videos. I teach this class different each time. Because each time, what I'm doing is I'm channeling a higher force and bringing it to you. But it is a conversation, it's a dialogue. And it's no different from reading a book or seeing a great painting, okay? Each experience is unique because a painting or the book, it's almost like a platform for you to experience the divine or higher power. Okay? When you read a great book, that's literally what you feel. You feel as though you are in conversation with the universe. And this book is really a portal into the universe. Okay? If you read a great book, I'm not sure if you had read a great book. Okay? So if you want to really be creative, you have to trust the universe. If you really want to destroy your creativity, you follow this system. Okay? So what I'm telling you, and I know this is going to be weird, but school, it destroys your creativity because it teaches you a process that does not work. No scientist in the history of humanity has ever come up with a great idea using the scientific method. I guarantee you. They've all came up with a great idea through their imagination, through their intuition, by channeling the divine. Okay? That's every single scientist, including Einstein, Newton, yes?
But
Wait, sorry. Can you speak to the...
okay, so I agree with what you're saying, but personally, I think scientific method is more like how these inspirational ideas are being presented to others.
Oh, yes. Yeah, good point. Exactly. That's exactly correct, okay? So I use scientific method in order to convince other people that I'm correct. You're absolutely correct. Because if I told people, oh, I had a dream, well, like, It's not convincing, okay? So the scientific method, it's a way for us to communicate and spread ideas. You're absolutely correct, okay? But as I say, you will never, ever have a great discovery by following the scientific method. You have to have an inspiration. And then use that scientific method to explain your inspiration to other people, okay?
Professor Jiang explained how education was designed not to create thinkers but workers. People who follow instruction, who memorize formulas but never question the system that created them. In school, we learn to look for the right answer. When a child who once asked why starts asking, will this be on exam? Professor Jiang says creativity isn't lost. It's trained out of us. Every mistake we make in school is punished. So we learn to avoid mistakes at all costs. But creativity lives inside mistakes. It's born from what doesn't work, from what seems wrong until it becomes revolutionary. That's why the scientific method as we know it is incomplete. It values what can be measured, but ignores what can be felt. And feeling intuition is often where true discovery begins. When I heard this part of Professor Jiang's lecture, I couldn't stop thinking about my own life. How many times have I killed an idea before it was born, just because it didn't sound logical enough? We all do this. We silence the strange thoughts that didn't fit the formula. But maybe those strange thoughts are the formula. The world's greatest ideas, from Einstein to Steve Jobs, came from people who didn't follow the script. They failed rapidly, got rejected constantly, but keep questioning why things have to be this way. Maybe that's the real theory of everything. To understand that logic builds the machine, but emotion gives it life. So the next time your mind whispers something impossible, listen closely. It might not make sense yet, but neither did gravity. Until someone stop memorizing and start imagining. If you have made it this far into the video, please subscribe. It really helps me a lot. I put a lot of effort into making these videos. I didn't have any equipment, just my personal phone and an old laptop. My phone screen is also damaged, which is why it takes me so long to publish each video since I shoot everything with it. And since English is my second language, my pronunciation isn't perfect, but I am learning, so I can share my thoughts and idea with you. Thank you. Hope you guys learned something new.